once again, Geeks weather nerds. It is Tuesday evening, and it's time for the Valley's most in-depth weather forecast video. We still have not a drop of rain in this forecast for the next several days, but we do have some really cool things to talk about this evening, including, of course, what turned out to be a beautiful day today. This time last from our Canfield Fairgrounds camera. Hard to believe. We're just a little over a week removed from the fair. It doesn't look like the fair even happened. The fairgrounds looking kind of desolate these days, but yeah, a field of fair weather cumulus clouds bubbled up in the heat of the day, as you would expect on a day like today, but they dissipated pretty quickly this evening. We'll start out with our major weather story nationally this evening. That is Tropical Storm Francine, which is 135 miles due east of the Rio Grande River in deep South Texas. Now, Francine is going to become a hurricane tonight into tomorrow before making landfall. The official forecast from the National Hurricane Center has it as a Category 1 during landfall at midday tomorrow, but again, I'm still not going to be surprised if it's a little bit stronger than that, given the trends in recent times for rapid intensification just prior to landfall. The water's very warm in the Gulf of Mexico, the wind shear favorable enough that there might be some intensification, but either way, it really doesn't matter if it's a Cat 1 or a Cat 2. This will still pose a wind threat, thankfully, for some fairly uninhabited areas of Louisiana, and a heavy rain threat, of course, for parts of the South. Now, the South is dry. They need the rain, but too much at one time would not be really a good thing. All right, closer to home, our weather was benign today, but this was really cool. If you happen to be an early morning riser and outside and looking up, SpaceX, I should say, launched a rocket at 5:24 this morning off the east coast of Florida. This is carrying 4 civilians on it. Very wealthy civilians, I might add. The plan here is for the first non-astronaut spacewalk to occur on this mission as it enters low Earth orbit. This launch occurred at about 5:20 a.m., but it was visible in many places, including eastern Ohio and western PA. About 5 minutes after launch, at about 5:30 this morning, that picture that I just showed you was taken in western PA around the Hermitage area. Thanks to Charles for sending us that. And many people were able to see this, not only here locally, of course, but in many areas, especially south and east of Youngstown. Visibility a little bit tougher the farther north and west you went. This was pretty low on the horizon here locally, but it was high and bright in the mid-Atlantic states down into the southeast, and of course the closer you are to eastern Florida. All right, no rockets to observe tonight, but a man-made satellite, the International Space Station, flying overhead this evening. Again, I mentioned this last evening, we're going to have evening passes each day this week, and the weather will certainly cooperate. This evening's pass is at 8:47. It'll be in the sky for 4 minutes, reaching an altitude of 33 degrees above the horizon. Tomorrow evening's is a little bit higher, not quite as long in the sky, or not. This will be a briefer event. Tomorrow evening at 9:36 p.m. The International Space Station will whiz by over the course of 3 minutes, reaching an altitude of about 49 degrees above the horizon. Now, you may notice some trees here locally, of course, for a little while now, have been shedding some leaves, even changing colors a little bit. A lot of that is due to stress on the trees from heat earlier on this summer, and also the lack of rainfall, especially in recent times. Our true foliage season has not begun here locally, and hasn't begun in most of the U.S., but in some of the higher terrain in the western U.S., parts of the Rocky Mountain states into the Sierra Nevada mountains in California, yeah, some colors are certainly starting to show up out there. Our peak foliage around here will be in the latter portions of October. All this dry weather in September, it's a double-edged sword a little bit. You want some rain in September for a good foliage season, but you don't want too much, but you also don't want it to be too dry. And I'm a little bit concerned that we're just going to be too dry for a while now. That may mute some of the colors in October. It may not be as vibrant of a season as we had last year. Our weather is certainly dry for the next few days. We're going to zip through Futurecast once again with nothing to show you over the next few days other than a veil of high clouds as Francine makes its closest approach. This will be later Thursday into Thursday night and Friday. Friday's sky may be a little bit milky looking, but the rain won't get much farther north than about Louisville, Cincinnati. That should be about it. So we're going to be dry, it looks like, through at least early next week. What about the longer range? This is today's 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. So basically covering September 18th through the 24th. I think at this point, the pattern will not be wet, but it may not be as consistently dry. So, by the very end of next week into that following weekend, we might have some chances for some rain, but Andrew and I were joking in the office today, the over-under on when we see a drop of rain around here, we set it at September 21st, which is 11 days from right now. And we both kind of took the over on that. We think that's a good date as to, when there might be a legitimate chance of rain. You're going to model La La Land a little bit when you're 10, 11 days into the future. But certainly through early next week, it seems unlikely that we're going to see any sort of measurable precipitation in eastern Ohio and western PA. That'll do it for me on Weather for Weather Geeks this evening. I'll see you back here on Wednesday. Thanks as always for watching, everyone, and have a great rest of your night.